the Body Punch Podcast. My name is Naz. Today's podcast is actually going to be a live watch of the Edmen Shahbazyan and Derek Brunson Fight Night card. Now, what I mean by that is right now it's 10:47 Eastern Standard Time. And the card's actually playing right in front of me. We're actually a couple minutes out from this card. From the main event, actually. This is going to be me watching the fight with you guys. And you're going to be listening to it after the fact, of course. I'm going to watch the fight, give my comments, and give my live perspective on what the fight is actually going to be. So since we're watching this live, and since the fight hasn't started, there have been a couple bangers that have actually already happened. Vicente Luque comes to mind, winning over Randy Brown. The leg kicks that he was getting on him were incredible. The commentators kept on bringing it up that Randy was throwing his jab out, and Felder actually said this, which I think it was a perfect comment at the time, was that Randy's educated hand, and what he means by that, the one that has the most control, the one that he has the most power, was his jab, and he was able to nullify that with those leg kicks. Another one that came to mind, and I was watching, and I thought was incredible, was a Lando Vannata fight versus Bobby Green. Bobby Green is very underrated, I believe, and Lando Vannata has this great name because of his groovy style, aka, no pun intended, because of his nickname. I think it was a great step up. It was a great actually fight itself because Bobby was able to showcase his smarts, actually. The way that he took control of that fight was just, it was great stuff to watch. We also just saw an upset, in my opinion, in the Calderwood fight. She got submitted. So that was an upset to itself. A lot of people didn't think that Jennifer would actually win that fight. Now, like I said, we're a couple minutes out from the fight actually starting. We're just about to see the walkout. Just to talk about Derek Brunson and Edmen Shahbazyan. Derek Brunson, super underrated fighter. He's coming into this fight, and he's just, nobody likes to call him the gatekeeper because of how incredibly powerful he is. And just the way that he acts in the ring, I've actually seen him fight live. And when I watched him fight live, it's just the incredible nature that he shows and the class that he also has after the fights are great. Unfortunately, one of his main somewhat calling cards are the Adesanya fight, and that's not a pretty picture in most people's minds. Now, Edmen is a protege, if you will, of Ronda Rousey. Yeah, he comes from the same camp. He has the same coach. And unfortunate enough, just bringing up the Derek Brunson stuff, Edmen Shahbazyan, his coach, Edmond Tarverdyan, takes a lot of heat for his coaching style. Ronda Rousey's mother was also talking a lot about it, and people make fun of it all the time online, actually. But Luke Thomas, I believe, said this best, where, you know, if Edmen becomes what he says he's going to become, which is the youngest UFC champion, there's not much that you can say about the coach then at that time. He's showcased it. Having two people that he somewhat brought up more on the Edmen side, because he's been with the team for a lot longer. He was there since he was a kid. Ronda kind of came up. She trained under her mother, then went to the Olympics, and then met the team out there. But showing these prospects is great stuff, and you can tell that he does bring some sort of education to his fighters. Now the walkouts are just starting. Like I said, I'm watching this live with you guys. You'll be able to see my live reaction to these fights. Now, Edmen is walking out first. He's looking calm, especially for his age. He's a very young guy, super young guy. And we'll see what he brings to the table. As the commentators are saying, he does have that contender series spirit. He was on the contender series, and I believe the contender series brings a lot to fighters. Actually, not a lot of people talk about it, but I really believe that the contender series also, aside from giving you a route to the UFC, it's also the way that it's formatted. Dana White giving out contracts to people, it really brings exciting fighters to the UFC. Now, what I mean by that is just because you get the win, just because you get the decision win, that doesn't mean that you actually get invited to the UFC. The best way in the contender series to actually get into the UFC is by showcasing your skills, by winning by emphatic knockout, winning by some sort of submission, a crazy submission. It's got to be something crazy, because that's the only way Dana White's going to be interested. And he really brings interesting fighters with the contender series. Now, another thing about Edmen, and one thing that the media is really talking about, is his low-key nature. What I mean by that, right when he walks into the ring, he has this emotional switch. He's a very calm guy. He's very low temper. Doesn't really break that character for anything else aside from when he walks into the ring. When he walks in, he has this deadly kind of assassin-like character that is brought out just by that cage door locking, it seems. Now we're seeing Derek Brunson actually walk into the cage. He's walking out at the moment. And now Derek Brunson has had an incredible career. He is no slump. He's not someone that should be taken lightly at all. He's one of those fighters. And in one of my previous podcasts, I was talking about this. I would like to equal him to Masvidal. Now, what do I mean by that? Derek Brunson he's good at everything. He's just good at everything. And the way that he's able to nullify people with his wrestling, the way he can still keep his hands up and box, and he's just good at everything. There's not much that I can think of when it comes to Derek Brunson. That I can say that isn't above average, isn't good. He's good at everything. And another thing that comes to mind when watching these fights actually live is, what do these fighters actually look like before they enter the cage? Some people don't think that that's such a big deal, but especially when there's no crowd, some fighters need to get amped up. We saw this in the last the fights that we saw in on Fight Island, where you saw that in the Darren Till Whitaker fight, Whitaker always hyped himself up. He smacked his chest. He really amped himself up before the fight actually started. Now, Derek Brunson is one of those fighters that I believe needs to amp himself up. And now let's see what happens when there's no crowd involved. That when there's nobody to boo you, there's no one to scream your name. It's just quiet. It's complete quiet. Now, right now, I'm looking at the age difference. Derek Brunson, 36, and Edmen, 22. Now, that's a massive age difference. That's a generational age difference. Edmen, he didn't grow up learning boxing, learning wrestling. He learned MMA. He knew nothing else. Especially seeing the old tapes that have been surfacing of him training with Ronda Rousey, him actually working with her. He's seen what it takes to get to the top. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that Ronda Rousey, she didn't have the mental fortitude or anything like that, but Edmen was able to see what Ronda was going through at the time. And I bet you he's learned a lot from that. He's probably learned a hell of a lot more than most fighters at this age, especially at 22 years old. This guy is so young. And especially when I saw him at the weigh-ins, he's a big guy. Everybody just had some idea in their head that this was a little kid. No, this is a grown man. He's a big boy. You can see that when he's compared to Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson is no slouch. He's no small man himself. He's a big guy. And when Edmen was looking down at him somewhat, you could see that he's really grown into his body. This is a great test for Edmen as well, to just show where he's at in the division. Now, I believe if he wins this by emphatic decision, which we'll see in a couple minutes now, while Bruce Buffer is giving his announcement. But if Edmen wins this fight by some sort of, incredible way, making it look easy, well, then, my friends, we have a superstar on our hands. We're just about to get started now. So now, here we go. Now we can see both gentlemen get to the center of the octagon, and Derek Brunson exploring the body at the moment. Now, just like we saw in the Vicente Luque fight, it was just incredible to watch the leg kicks and the way that he was able to set up the leg kicks to expose the head. Kept on kicking the legs. Randy got nervous about that. Obviously, he gave a really good poker face. He didn't show that his legs were hurting, but he kept on switching stances, kept on moving and trying to wiggle his legs, trying to wake them back up. Now, in interviews that I watched, Edmen's head coach was asked what his greatest skills were. Now, coming from a boxing gym, coming from a boxing background, he really loves his striking. Now, Derek Brunson can take you down. What happens then? What happens when you're a fish out of water? Now, we've seen that he does have a ground game, but obviously, I really believe that he really works on his striking. Right now, I'm at 3 minutes and 14 seconds. And it seems really even matched. They're just exploring, trying to figure out, oh, now Derek Brunson is really going after him. And Edmen is throwing those Travis Brown elbows from against the cage. Now, here's exactly what I was talking about. And I really wanted to see what would happen if Derek Brunson got to the ground, and he's got back mount, and he's just kind of riding him. But Edmen he's posting up now against the cage. He's going to use that cage to get back up if he can, because Derek Brunson, like I said, is no slouch. He's going to really explore. Oh, but Edmen did get back up. Perfect. The amount of experience that Derek Brunson has, he's fought the best of the best. You name it in that division, he's fought them. He's fought everybody. He's been in this game for a long time. But Edmen's boxing right now at 2 minutes and 11 seconds is looking slick. He got him with that left hand, and he's really trying to nail him with that power hand. The composure that Shahbazyan is showing in this moment, in I believe his life-changing moment right now, is great for his age. It shows that he is composed. And now we see another groin strike in this card. The commentators are joking about how many we've seen this night, but nope, Derek Brunson still wants to fight. Derek Brunson is doing something really great right now. He's really driving in and trying to get that real close in the pocket strikes, throwing elbows, and but he is exposing himself. And like I said, Shahbazyan's boxing is looking slick right now. And if this fight keeps on going, I would love to see how Edmen and his coaches are going to make suggestions about that. Because when a Derek Brunson just blitzes in and just throwing Hail Mary shots just like that, what is Edmen going to do to nullify that? It's looking pretty even right now in the striking department. But Derek Brunson is going for more takedowns, is going for more grappling exchanges at the moment. But Edmen is getting back up from those, so making them nil. You know, if this fight does go the full distance, then I would love to see what Derek Brunson's cardio is going to look like in the later rounds, because he is doing a lot of that wrestling, and now we're out of the first round. Now, a lot of exploring has been done in that round. A lot of questions have been answered. We've seen in the fights before this that once the coaches are able to tell their fighters what they've seen, they really expose those things. Just looking at UFC.com, we've seen Derek Brunson already got one takedown. So that takedown was counted. So like I said before, the wrestling that he's doing right now is just, let's see if he still has the cardio to manage that, to go into the later rounds. This total striking is very comparable. We're at 22 apiece. Significant strikes are 22 apiece. So yeah, just like the announcers just said, Edmen has gone the distance before in his first fight. That shows that he has a cardio capability. He has the cardio capability of that. Now, we're seeing what I would give that last round. I would give that last round, honestly, to I want to say Brunson, to be honest with you, because of the aggression that he was showing with the wrestling. There was just a tweet that came up. I don't know the gentleman's name, but he said 10-9 Edmen. But I will go with Brunson because he's showing the more aggressive nature. He has that one takedown that I was talking about. And now at 4 minutes, Derek Brunson got Edmen down on the ground again. So he is showing the wrestling capability that he has. He's showing that he's able to win in the grappling exchanges. Even though Edmen is getting back up, it's showing that he's being the more aggressive fighter. Now, Edmen getting back up every single time is actually something that will make Derek Brunson think. He's say in his head, he's probably going to say, it's taking me so much work to get Edmen to the ground, and this kid just pops back up. Now, in my opinion, and if I was Edmen's coach, I would keep on going. And if I was Derek Brunson's coach, I would say, listen, do not relax on the wrestling. Because the wrestling right now is honestly the thing that is really making you the aggressive person in this fight. And if I was in Edmen's team, I would say do the exact same thing like I just said. We're getting a nice little breather in the second round with this eye poke that happened. Edmen just saving some time, showing that young composure that I talked about in the first round here. That young composure is something great, especially at his age. He's showing that he knows what this moment is all about. He's still being aggressive, especially at 2 minutes, 43 seconds of the second round. He's being very aggressive. But Derek Brunson keeps on showing me that same thing that he's shown in every single one of his fights. He throws his punches in combination, 1, 2, 3 combination, but his face is highly exposed. And if Edmen is able to recalibrate at this moment and not throw these kind of haymakers, throw some slick, accurate strikes, he will be able to catch him like we've seen in the past with other fighters catching Derek Brunson. Now, Edmen has been throwing some kicks just as a feeler, just a probing kicks. And but he's really relying on his boxing. And I think Brunson is really at 1 minute and 38 seconds, he's really schooling him right now, I believe. Edmen looks tired. He doesn't have the body language that I like to see. He doesn't have that confidence that he walked into the ring with and has shown in his past fights. Like I said before, Derek Brunson's wrestling is second to none. And he's taking him down, not at will. There's still a little bit of struggle with Edmen, but it seems like whenever Derek Brunson says, I want you on the ground, he's probably on the ground. Now at 52 seconds of the second round, we see this ground and pound, this incredible ground and pound. Wow. I don't know, they might just really close, but he is in trouble. He's taking some damage. Edmen is taking some serious damage right now. And it doesn't look like he's doing much about it. He's kind of just there. He's not doing much when it comes to he's not doing much on his ground game right now. And Derek is just doing these small little techniques. He's these veteran savvy moves. And yeah, Just like the commentator said, and I agree with them. This one was super close to stop. Oh my God. At 2 seconds, 1, 2. Wow. I just paused for a second because I thought that Herb Dean stopped the fight right before the bell rang. It seemed like he had some sort of hand motion. It seemed like he waved his hands to make this fight off. He is observing. Herb Dean is observing. It seems like there's a doctor right beside him. He's watching. Edmen has a slight cut over his right eye. You can see in the replay that Herb Dean did wave his hand, but it might have been in a motion to tell Derek Brunson to move away, that the round is over. But it seems like his hand motion was after the bell. Wow. Edmen does not have the frame of mind. He does not have the confidence right now. And now the doctor is going to take a look. He's going to take a look at that cut. That cut is not too serious, but let's see if he's in the mindset right now. He's giving slight head nods. Let's see what he says. But his hands are on the cage, maybe to brace himself. Maybe he's still out on his feet. Let's see. Both gentlemen are in the middle of the octagon. And Derek Brunson is smelling blood right now. He's like a shark. He can see that he got Edmen in deep waters right now. Derek Brunson is no joke, and he's blitzing again and again and using that wrestling and taking him down with ease at 4 minutes 34 seconds and winning the fight. Incredible. Now, just giving a quick synopsis of what I think happened here. I didn't see the mental fortitude. I saw the confidence. I was talking about it in the first rounds, but the fortitude and just watching this replay, he just dragged Edmen to the ground like a little kid, to be honest with you. And he is a little kid. He's 22 years old. Even when he was talking to the doctor, and I'm speaking about Edmen, he didn't look like he was agreeing. It didn't look like he wanted to go back in. It reminded me of when Anthony Joshua was against Ruiz, and Anthony Joshua was just giving slight head nods and was not responsive. Now, let's just be honest. Referees are human beings at the end of the day, and once they see you take that kind of damage, which Edmen had received in the second round, Herb Dean is going to stop that fight at the slightest any chance that Herb Dean's going to get in that moment. He's going to stop that fight because of what he saw in the earlier rounds. A referee's main job at the end of the day is to save lives. And if Herb Dean sees you, not even defending yourself in that kind of position, then there's nothing that he's going to do. He's going to stop that fight. But we're going to watch. We're going to see if Derek Brunson calls anybody out. Derek Brunson, like I've iterated so many times now, is no joke. He is no joke whatsoever. And he is a great test in this division in terms of, are you ready for the top 10, top 5? Because like I said, he's fought everybody in the division. But I think Edmen, he's still super young. He's still got a lot of heart. He's just got to develop that heart a little bit more. That's the only thing, because it seemed like the cardio got to him, the wrestling got to him, and like I said, and what I was listening to in podcasts, it seemed like the concentration was on the striking. Now, striking cardio is something else. Wrestling cardio is something else. Just like what a striker can do to you on the feet, a wrestler or jiu-jitsu specialist can do to you on the ground. And that's what we saw when it comes to Derek Brunson. Great stuff. And just like Dominic Cruz is saying right now, if you really thought about it, if there was any way that Derek Brunson would win this fight, it was exactly what we saw. And what he did was incredible. There's a couple things that still need polish, but I mean, he beat a real tough guy in this division. Great stuff by him. Especially with all the hype that we saw on Edmen, it's great to see how Derek Brunson really lived in the moment. He really talked about the moment. He lived the moment. He wasn't scared, and he was great stuff. A lot of people doubted him in this fight. Yeah, that Henry Hoof team is amazing. I'm just listening to what Derek Brunson is saying after the fight. Yeah, Felder is bringing up the fact that he almost had him out in the second round. And that weird little hand motion that Herb Dean did really made me think that he stopped the fight. Now, I don't think there's anything in the rule book that talks about what kind of hand gestures that you got to show. From what I've seen, every single referee has something different. You can see when Herb Dean actually called off the fight, he did a two-handed gesture. It's really weird, actually. It's something that's only in our sport. There's a couple of things like that you only see in this sport. Yeah. So Derek Brunson going to take some break, going to talk to his family, see what's next for him. The whole night was it was a good fight card. I thought that the fights that we saw, especially the Vicente Luque win, especially the Lando Vannata fight with Green, that was a good fight. Also, I didn't bring this up, but I believe it was Kevin Holland and Trevin fight. It was the fight that was supposed to be right before the Lando Vannata fight. It actually didn't happen. A fighter fainted, and the announcers just said that the fight's not going to happen. Really weird stuff. Usually we hear about fighters fainting during weigh-ins or anything aside from walkouts. But listening to all the podcasts with ex-UFC fighters, you hear about how nervous fighters can get and how worried they are, especially the highest profile fighters at the time. They can be really nervous. GSP comes to mind, and even he was super nervous. So, my thoughts and prayers out to both fighters, because one of them actually wasn't able to fight, and the other one obviously fainted, and hopefully everything's okay. Hopefully they can fight in the future and make money, especially during this time. It's very tough. But overall, the card was great, especially the main event fights. I really enjoyed this. I love taking a live look. It helps me analyze the fights a little bit better because I can vocally transcribe basically what's going on in front of me, and it helps me understand, and it helps me remember what the fights were and what I thought of them, especially taking a live look. There's a lot of interesting things that we saw, and like I said at the beginning, congratulations to Derek Brunson, and this has been a great reiteration of why Derek Brunson is a scary fighter. But Edmen, he's young. You learn more from your losses, and he's going to learn a lot from this, especially fighting someone like Derek Brunson. He fought one of the best of the best when it comes to in that division, right? It's very weird to call a person a gatekeeper because it seems like some sort of slight that you're putting on them. But Derek Brunson, that if you win against him, then you got a chance against anybody in that division. Now, obviously, Derek Brunson has fought many people. Who knows? He's fought many people in that weight division, so who knows if what's next for him? But who knows what's next for Edmen? But it's great fight overall. It was a really good matchup. You could see that Edmen was still able to hang in certain moments. It was just that wrestling. And I brought it up in the first round. I brought it up in the beginning of the fight, actually. And it was in the back of my head. And like I said before, and what Dominic Cruz was saying, that if you know one way that if you thought Derek Brunson was going to win, then the way that we just saw was how it was going to happen. So great stuff overall, and I'm going to do more of these. This is great stuff. I really like watching the fights live like this and really analyzing them. And thank you for taking the time, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.